what is meant by Eid? Linguistically, Eid is derived from something that reoccurs. عاد يعود, meaning that it comes back, it returns, and Eid is something that is describing a reoccurring either event that is time bound or a location that is often visited. The Prophet said عليه الصلاة والسلام, لا تتخذوا قبري عيدا. Do not make my grave a Eid, meaning that you often go and visit my grave. Do not do that. Why? Because if you do that, Shaitan, the devil, Satan, with time will have a negative impact on people's perception, so that he would convince them that visiting the grave of the Prophet ﷺ makes you attain benefits and blessings from Allah or from the Prophet. And people would slowly but surely fall into shirk. And if you go to Medina, you would see that clearly in front of your eyes. Despite the protection and the guards and the scholars advising not to do this, you will find people wiping the walls of the room, of the chamber, wiping their faces with it, attaching their bodies to it, supplicating, while we gives their back to the Qibla and face the chamber and supplicate and make dua. And all of this is totally haram, and it leads to shirk. And it is shirk if a person asks the Prophet ﷺ directly. This would be shirk. So this Eid is referring to a location. In Sahih Muslim, a man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, I vowed to slaughter a camel in Buwana. So the Prophet said to him, is there any idol that the idol worshippers worship? The man said, no. So the Prophet said, is there any Eid in it for the mushriks? The man said, no. The Prophet said, fulfill your vow. As for the time-bound Eid, this is what the vast majority of Muslims understand when we mention the term Eid. So it is related to time. And the clearest example is when the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina. He found that the people, the natives of Medina, used to play during a day of the year that they celebrate and feast. So when he asked them and they told him, he denied and prohibited them to celebrate such days and said to them, Allah has substituted you with two better days, Eid al-Adha wa Eid al-Fitr. So Muslims have two Eids in the year that they celebrate, which is Eid al-Adha, the Eid that is on the 10th of the last month of the lunar or Islamic calendar, the month of Dhul Hijjah. And this Eid coincides with the pilgrimage and the pilgrimage of Hajj, such as throwing the pebbles of Al-Aqaba, slaughtering their sacrifice, shaving their heads, and offering tawaf al-ifada. For us who do not or are not going for Hajj, we simply commemorate that day with slaughtering a sacrifice and offering Eid prayer. As for Eid al-Fitr, this comes at the end of the month of Ramadan. So the first day that follows the month of Ramadan is the day of Eid al-Fitr. And both days are prohibited for a Muslim to fast them. Totally. No matter what. It's totally prohibited to be fasted by Muslims, even if it's for an expiation, making up for this missed in Ramadan, a vow, whatever. And if they fast it, it's not accepted. So this is what the two Eids in Islam signify, which means that we cannot have other celebrations, Eid, that reoccur every single year on the same time. So we can't have definitely celebrations or Eids that the disbelievers celebrate, such as Christmas, New Year's, Halloween, Easter, whatever. And likewise, we cannot celebrate man-made, the Day of Independence, the National Day, the anniversary of a married couple, birthdays, and so forth.